I used to tell my hairdresser, just trim it for almost a decade, and I didn't realize that one lazy instruction was aging me by years. The right haircut can shave a decade off how old you look, and the wrong one can add it right back, no makeup or outfit required. In this video I'm walking you through 5 haircuts that genuinely make women over 50 look younger, sharper, and more put together the moment they walk out of the salon. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50 so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The layered bob that fixes everything gravity took. Here's something most women don't realize until it's too late. As we age, our face doesn't just get lines, it actually loses volume along the jaw and cheeks, and flat, blunt hair makes that hollowing look worse, not better. That's the part nobody explains to you at the salon. You just get told this will suit you, and you nod along. So you end up with hair that used to look sleek and polished in your 30s, and now it just looks tired. Heavy one-length hair drags everything downward. It pulls your whole face down with it. And the frustrating thing is, you probably still think you're doing the safe, classic thing by keeping it simple and blunt. Here's the fix, and it's simpler than you'd think. A layered bob, cut just above or right at the shoulder, with the heaviest layers framing the cheekbones and jaw. This isn't about going shorter for the sake of it. It's about reintroducing movement exactly where your face has lost its own natural lift. The way this works is almost mechanical. When a stylist cuts internal layers around the face, they're creating little pockets of volume that sit right where your face has softened. Instead of your hair pulling the eye downward in one flat sheet, it breaks the line up, and your eye reads shape, instead of sag. It's the same principle interior designers use when they say a room needs texture, not just furniture. Flat and heavy reads old. Layered and lifted reads alive. Ask for face framing layers that start at the cheekbone, not the chin. That distinction matters more than people think. Layers that start too low, right at the jaw, can actually emphasize a softening jawline instead of lifting it. You want the shortest layer to hit around the cheekbone or slightly above, so the eye is drawn up toward your eyes and cheekbones, not down toward your neck. Ask your stylist for what's sometimes called a modern shag bob. A bob with soft, textured layers rather than one blunt line. If your hair has any natural wave or you use a round brush when you blow dry, this cut will move beautifully. If your hair is very fine, ask specifically for point cutting at the ends rather than a razor cut, because razor cuts on fine hair can actually thin it out and make it look sparse. Here's the snapback moment. The thing that actually happens when women make this switch. They stop looking kept and start looking put together. There's a real difference. Kept is neat, safe, invisible. Put together is intentional. People notice it, even if they can't say exactly why. You'll catch someone doing a small double take, the kind where they're clocking that something changed, even if they can't name it. There's also a length trick almost nobody talks about. If you're nervous about going shorter, ask for the layers to be cut dry, after the initial length is set, not wet. Cutting layers on dry hair lets your stylist see exactly how it falls and moves in real life, not how it hangs when it's saturated with water. This is the difference between a cut that looks great in the chair, and one that actually works when you style it yourself at home 3 weeks later. I remember a woman writing in after trying this, saying her daughter asked if she'd done something to her face. She hadn't touched her skincare routine at all that month. It was the haircut lifting everything the whole time, and nobody had told her that was even possible. One more thing worth knowing. This cut ages incredibly well between salon visits, because the layers grow out into each other instead of growing into one heavy, shapeless mass. A blunt one-length cut looks great for maybe 2 weeks, and then just gets heavier and heavier until your next appointment. A layered bob actually keeps some shape even at week 6 or 7. So here's the swap. Before, one-length hair, blunt ends, sitting flat against a softened jawline, making the whole face look like it's being pulled down. After, a layered bob with face-framing pieces starting at the cheekbone, catching light, creating lift exactly where you need it most. But the bob isn't the only cut doing this kind of quiet, structural work. There's a second haircut that does something almost nobody expects, and it has to do with something most women avoid entirely after 50. Part 2. Fringe pieces that frame your eyes instead of hiding them. Most women over 50 avoid bangs completely, and I understand why. You had one bad fringe experience in your 20s, and you swore it off for good. But here's the thing nobody tells you. A full blunt fringe is a different animal entirely from what actually works now, which is soft curtain-style fringe pieces that part around the face instead of covering it. The reason this matters so much after 50 has to do with your eyes specifically. As we age, the skin above the eyelid softens and the brow can drop slightly, and a lot of women respond by pulling all their hair back, thinking it opens up the face. It actually does the opposite. Fully exposed forehead and brow bone draws attention straight to that area, with nothing to soften it. The fix is curtain fringe, sometimes called face-framing bangs, cut long enough to sweep past the temples and blend into the rest of your layers rather than sitting as a separate blunt piece. Ask your stylist to cut it on an angle, longest near your cheekbone and shortest at the center part, so it grows out gracefully and never looks like a hard line across your forehead. This works because it does two things at once. It softens the brow bone with a wisp of movement, and it draws a natural frame around your eyes, which is exactly the feature you want people looking at first. Think about it this way. Your eyes are the most expressive, most youthful reading part of your whole face. A soft fringe acts like a picture frame, directing attention exactly there instead of letting the eye wander to lines on the forehead or a receding hairline at the temples. Texture matters enormously here too. Ask specifically for a wispy or feathered fringe, never a blunt cut one. A blunt fringe on mature hair, especially hair that's thinned with age, can look heavy and harsh, almost like a costume piece rather than something that grew naturally. Feathered pieces, cut with a razor or point cutting technique, move with your hair instead of sitting stiffly on top of it. If your hair has thinned at the temples, which is extremely common after 50, curtain fringe is actually one of the best camouflage techniques there is, because the pieces naturally fall forward and cover sparse areas without looking like you're hiding anything. Here's the result women report almost every single time. People stop noticing the forehead and start noticing the eyes. That's the entire trick. It's not really about the fringe itself, it's about where it redirects attention. One woman told me her optometrist actually commented that her eyes looked brighter after her haircut, and nothing about her eyes had changed at all. It was the frame around them doing the work. Styling this at home is easier than people expect. You don't need a round brush and 20 minutes. A quick pass with a paddle brush while your hair is about 80% dry, guiding the fringe pieces to the side, is usually enough. If you have some natural wave, this fringe style will actually air dry into a soft, swept shape on its own most days. One thing to watch for. Ask your stylist to check the fringe length against your glasses if you wear them daily. Fringe that's cut without accounting for glasses frames can end up sitting awkwardly against the lenses, which undoes the softening effect you're going for. A good stylist will actually have you put your glasses on partway through the cut to check this. There's also a seasonal consideration nobody mentions. Curtain fringe in humid climates needs slightly more layering underneath, so it doesn't puff or separate strangely. If you live somewhere humid, mention that specifically, because the cutting technique changes a little to account for it. So here's the swap. Before, hair pulled back, forehead and brow fully exposed with nothing to soften the transition. After, soft curtain fringe, swept and feathered, framing the eyes and quietly covering thinning temples at the same time. Now here's a haircut that goes in the completely opposite direction, and it's the one most women are the most afraid of. Part 3. The pixie cut nobody warns you actually works better with age. I need to say something that might sound backwards. A well-cut pixie often looks better on a 60-year-old than it does on a 25-year-old. I know that goes against everything you've probably heard. The stereotype is that short hair is what you do when you're giving up, but that's exactly backwards, and here's the actual reason why. Fine thinning hair, which is extremely common after menopause, has almost nowhere to hide at longer lengths. Long, thin hair just lies flat and stringy, no matter what products you use. Short hair, cut with intention, actually needs less density to look full, because the cut itself is doing the volume work instead of relying on hair thickness that may not be there anymore. The fix is a textured pixie, cut with longer pieces on top and shorter, closely cropped sides, never buzz flat all over. This distinction matters enormously. A flat, uniform pixie can look severe. A textured one, with movement and slight length variation on top, looks intentional and soft at the same time. Here's why this specific shape works so well structurally. Keeping length on top, usually 2 to 4 inches, gives you something to style and lift, while the shorter sides create a clean, sculpted line along the head that actually flatters bone structure most women don't realize they have. As we age, cheekbones and jaw structure can become more visible as facial fat redistributes, and a pixie doesn't hide that, it works with it, almost like the cut is finally letting your actual bone structure be seen. Ask your stylist for what's often called a textured crop, or modern pixie, and specifically request that they leave enough length at the crown to create lift with a small amount of product. You want at least 2 inches at the top so you have styling options, not a buzzed, uniform length everywhere. The volume trick that makes this cut transformative. Ask for slightly disconnected layering at the crown, meaning the top layers are cut a bit separately from the sides rather than blending in one continuous line. This creates a small amount of visual height right at the crown, which is exactly where hair naturally thins first with age. It's a built-in solution to a problem most women are already quietly dealing with. Here's the result women describe most often after this cut. Their whole face looks lifted, not just their hair. Because a pixie removes the visual weight that was dragging the eye downward, the entire face reads as more awake, more alert. One woman told me a stranger in a grocery store asked if she'd just gotten back from vacation, because she looked so rested. She hadn't slept any differently. It was the cut removing that heavy, tired pull that longer thin hair creates. Styling is genuinely faster too, which matters more as routines get busier or joints get less cooperative with long styling sessions. A pixie usually needs a dime-sized amount of texture paste worked through damp hair with your fingers, maybe a quick pass with a diffuser, and you're done in under 10 minutes. That's a real, practical win, not just a look win. If you're nervous about committing, ask your stylist about a grow-out-friendly pixie, which is cut with slightly more length built in at the sides and back, so that as it grows over 6 to 8 weeks, it moves into a longer pixie or short bob shape rather than growing out awkwardly. This gives you an easy way to test the cut without feeling locked in. One more consideration. If your hair has any gray or white coming in, a pixie is one of the best cuts for showing off that color, because the light catches short hair differently than long hair, giving silver and white tones a brighter, more luminous appearance. So here's the swap. Before, long, thin hair lying flat with no volume, visually dragging the whole face downward. After, a textured pixie with lift at the crown and definition along the jaw, making the whole face read as more awake and more sculpted. There's one more length category we haven't covered yet, and it's the one most stylists secretly recommend but rarely bring up first. Part 4. Why shoulder length waves beat both long and short. Here's a fact that surprises most women. The single most requested after photo stylists see from women over 50 isn't short hair or long hair, it's a length that sits right at the collarbone with soft, loose waves. It's the length that photographs the youngest in study after informal salon survey, and almost nobody asks for it by name because they don't know what to call it. The problem most women run into is going to extremes. Either they cut everything off out of frustration with thinning or graying hair, or they cling to the long hair they had in their 30s, not realizing that hair past the shoulder blade actually pulls facial skin downward with its own weight over the course of a day, subtly tugging at the temples and outer eye area. The fix is a length landing right at or just above the collarbone, cut with loose, soft waves rather than sleek and straight. This length hits what stylists sometimes call the lift point, where hair is long enough to feel elegant and substantial, but short enough that it doesn't have the weight to drag on the skin around your face and neck. The wave pattern matters just as much as the length. Ask for what's called a beach wave, or undone wave texture, created either with a large barrel curling iron used in loose, alternating sections, or with a texturizing spray on damp hair before air drying. You're not going for define, tight curls. You want loose, irregular waves that look like movement happened naturally. Here's why waves specifically do so much visual work at this length. Straight hair at collarbone length can look severe or blunt, almost like it stopped growing. Waves break up that straight line and create the illusion of thicker, fuller hair, because each wave catches and reflects light differently. This is one of the only styling techniques that genuinely adds the appearance of density, without any extensions or thickening products. Ask your stylist to cut this length with what's called invisible layering. meaning subtle internal layers that you can't see as separate lines, but that give the hair enough movement to hold a wave properly. Hair cut completely blunt at this length can actually resist holding waves well, because there's no layered structure for the curl to catch onto. The result women notice most with this length and texture combination is that it photographs remarkably well, particularly in video calls and phone photos, which matters more now than it used to. The waves catch light in a way that reads as soft and flattering from almost any angle, while length past the shoulder blade can look stringy or flat in the same lighting. Several women have told me this was the length where they finally stopped avoiding photos altogether. There's a practical maintenance point worth knowing too. Collarbone length with waves is genuinely one of the lowest maintenance combinations available, because the layered structure means it grows out gracefully over 10 to 12 weeks without needing a trim as urgently as a blunt cut would. And on days you don't want to style it at all, a simple air dry with a texturizing spray usually looks intentional rather than undone. If your hair is naturally straight with no wave pattern of its own, ask your stylist about a soft perm specifically designed for mature hair, which uses larger rods and gentler solution than a traditional perm, giving you loose movement that lasts without the tight, dated curl pattern older perms are known for. One more detail that makes a real difference. Request that the ends be cut with slight rounding rather than a completely straight line across. A gently rounded hemline at this length photographs softer and blends more naturally with the waves than a perfectly straight across cut does. So here's the swap. Before, hair extending well past the shoulder blades, straight and heavy, subtly dragging at the skin around the face all day. After, hair landing right at the collarbone, cut with invisible layers and styled in loose waves that catch light and red as full and soft. There's one last haircut left, and it's the one that solves a problem almost every woman over 50 has but rarely mentions out loud to her stylist. Part 5. The cropped shag that solves the crown thinning problem nobody discusses. This last one addresses something so common and so rarely talked about that most women think they're the only ones dealing with it. Visible thinning right at the crown, the very top of the head, where a part can start to look wider than it used to. It's one of the most common changes in hair after 50, and it's also one of the most fixable with the right cut, yet almost nobody brings it up directly with their stylist out of embarrassment. Most women respond to crown thinning by doing the opposite of what actually helps. They avoid short layers up top, worried that shorter hair there will make the thinning more obvious, so they keep everything one length and just try to comb over the area. This almost always backfires, because flat, unlayered hair lying directly against a thinning crown actually shows the scalp more, not less, since there's no texture to break up the light reflecting off the scalp. The fix is a cropped shag, a cut built with short, choppy layers concentrated specifically at the crown, blending into slightly longer layers toward the sides and back. This is the opposite instinct from combing over, and it's exactly why it works so well. Short layers at the crown stand up slightly on their own, creating actual physical volume that lifts hair away from the scalp instead of pressing it flat against it. The technical term stylists use is point cutting at the root, where small vertical cuts are made close to the scalp at the crown specifically, removing weight without removing overall length everywhere else. This lightens that exact area just enough that the remaining hair has room to stand up and create lift, rather than being weighed down by the hair around it. Ask your stylist specifically for extra texturizing at the crown, and a change in your part. If you've worn the same center or side part for years, the hair along that exact line has likely thinned the most, since it's been under the most tension and exposure in that spot for years. Switching your part even slightly by an inch or so moves the visible line to an area with more natural density, and it's one of the simplest changes with the biggest visible impact. Here's what women notice most after this specific cut. They stop feeling like they need to check the mirror under harsh light before leaving the house. That anxious little habit of angling your head to check the part in a certain light disappears, because the visual issue that was causing it is actually gone, not just camouflaged for a moment. There's a product technique that pairs perfectly with this cut. Ask your stylist to recommend a lightweight root lifting spray, applied only at the crown while hair is damp, then blow-dried with your head tipped slightly forward for the first few minutes. This isn't a heavy styling product, just enough to help the newly cut layers hold their lift through the day. One thing worth knowing before your appointment: mention specifically that you're dealing with crown thinning. Using those exact words, rather than just saying, make it fuller. Stylists have a specific cutting technique for this particular concern, and being direct about it gets you a much more targeted result than a general request for volume. This cut also tends to soften over time in a flattering way, because the layers are shortest at the crown and gradually get longer moving outward. The growth pattern doesn't create an awkward stage the way some shortcuts do. You'll get a good 6 to 8 weeks of solid shape before you need a touch-up specifically at the crown. So here's the swap. Before, hair combed flat and smooth directly over a visibly thinning crown, the part looking wider under any bright light. After, a cropped shag with short choppy layers lifting the crown away from the scalp, part shifted to a fuller area. No more anxious mirror checking under harsh light. 5 cuts, 5 completely different problems, and every single one of them solvable in one appointment. So now you know exactly what to ask for. A layered bob for lift, curtain fringe to frame your eyes, a textured pixie for volume without density, collarbone waves for the most flattering length there is, and a cropped shag for crown thinning nobody talks about. You don't need 5 separate appointments or a drastic overhaul. You just need to walk in and use the right words for what you actually want. That's the whole secret, really, knowing what to ask for. Which one of these 5 are you trying first? Or is your hairdresser already doing one of these without you realizing it? Tell me in the comments. Next week I'm covering the exact color mistakes that make gray and silver hair look dull instead of luminous, so you'll want to be here for that one. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.